Welcome to another edition of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. And the Leafs are still playing. They're still alive. As we record this on Thursday night, the Leafs staved off elimination by beating the Florida Panthers Wednesday, 2-1, a close one down in Florida. Now they're coming back home for a game on Friday night. But we want to welcome in first off today. We have a big show today, but first off, always the best is first today, of course. Sean Fitz-Gerald, senior writer for The Athletic. Sean, how are you today?
Big show. I don't know that I'm fit to lead this thing off, but I do appreciate it.
You are. You know what? Later in the show, I have Steve Dangle and Dark Guy together.
No, you don't.
I do. Yeah, they're coming on together. Yeah, so that'll
I've never seen them in the same place at the same time.
I don't know.
Broadcasting first.
It might be, but I'm excited about that. Well, we're going to talk a little about the Steve Dangle Podcast Network too in a little bit. But first, the Leafs. As I mentioned, they're still alive. Does this team have what it takes to actually pull off the impossible and do what only 4 other teams have done in the history of the NHL?
Yeah, here's a problem, I think, with the Leafs, and more for Leaf fans, is that, I mean, over the last 20 years, or if you want to expand it all the way back to 67, this team's just found new and inventive ways of breaking the hearts of their fans, of ripping it out and showing it to them while it's still beating. And I think my concern for a Leaf fan here would be maybe this is just a new way. Like maybe they do push it all the way to Game 7. Maybe it goes to overtime in Game 7, and then somebody shoots a pass into their own net in overtime, and that's how they lose. Because that would be new, because they're running out of new ways to do it. No, I mean, like statistically, going down 3-0, that's not great. Is it impossible? Certainly not. Is it plausible? I mean, this is Florida got into the playoffs by 1 point. But again, like you still got to win 3 straight now in the playoffs, and that's not super easy.
It's not. They're in the same position as Florida was against Boston, down 3-1. Well, that's not.
But they started at 3-0, so that's an important statistical definition.
Absolutely. It is. What do you think of the style that they're playing? And just like a lot of people are complaining, the big guns aren't going. Are the big guns aren't going because of the style the team is playing, or because the big guns just aren't playing well?
Here's one thing that, I mean, I think we always have to keep in mind, and it's one of those things that, on locker cleanout day, we always find out, right? Like that was Patrice Bergeron, you always found out he was playing with a dislocated femur, and part of his knee was being held together by duct tape and prayer. You cannot discount the possibility that one or more of these folks is playing with an injury. I'm not saying I have intel on that. I'm just saying that, when it comes to this time of year, you can never discount that somebody's playing hurt. That would be one explanation for, I think, a lot of what we've seen. Because, style of play, whatever, this team is defined, as we all know, by its core 4, by, the big 4 names that you see on the marquee with Matthews, with Marner, with Tavares, with Nylander, and Morgan Riley always gets the also. When you throw all those guys together, that whatever style they're going to play, that is the core that's going to define their success or their failure.
I find it hard to believe that Mitch Marner is nervous. Like, I heard a lot of fans, I heard a lot of radio people saying he looks nervous out there. Like, how can you be nervous at this time of year? I just don't get it. Like, if you're a professional athlete, I don't think you can be nervous. I just don't think he's been playing well. And I've called him Mr. Fancy Pants for years now. And he just doesn't seem...
You call me Mr. Fancy Pants.
Well, you are too, but that's because of the way things you wear, not the way you play hockey. But like, he's frustrating to watch. Yes, he racks up the points. And yes, he led the team in points in the first round, but he had done absolutely nothing in the second round up to Game 4. I don't know what it is with this guy, but at what point do they have to say, like, let's, again, we can't make any changes until they're absolutely out of this thing. But like, is this guy going to be around and a Leaf for a long time? We're just going to have to put up with this failure in the playoffs year after year.
I think part of this right now is also like there is another team in the equation. So, I mean, there has been a lot made, obviously, of how the core 4 played in the first round against Tampa, albeit potentially against a goalie who was dealing with a lot of injuries on his own. But, there is another team on the ice, right? Like Florida is on the ice. They are there to be more than just sort of a pylon that these multimillionaires can skate around. So, I've been sitting up in the press box for, those first 2 home games and sitting next to folks just sort of chatting who I deeply respect their opinion, because you get former players wandering through, you get, scouts, observers, whatever. And, a couple of them pointed to secondary puck support of how quick they are on the puck. And if you do, when you're not watching on TV and, you're looking at, especially those first 2 games, there were instances where Florida's forecheck system, it wasn't, 1-2-2, it wasn't 1-3-1, it was 1-4, right? Like a forecheck of 1-4. So you send one person across the blue line and the other 4 are between the red line and the defensive blue line, and they're just waiting. And there is absolutely no room for any stretch passes, any breakouts. You have quick secondary support when one of these really talented players gets the puck. Like, it's also worth noting, and I'm not a Leaf apologist here. I'm not a publicist. I'm not on their payroll. But, it's also worth noting that there's another team on the ice, and, they have players too.
Yes, and they got hot at the right time and beat Boston. During the regular season, they've been fighting for their lives since probably January to make the playoffs. They still finished a long way behind both Boston and Toronto, but they're playing well, and there's no doubt about it.
They have a goaltender who was once an elite goaltender who seemed to remember that he was once an elite goaltender and is playing like an elite goaltender. And during the playoffs, elite goaltender are the 2 scariest words in hockey.
Right. And in game 2, when the Leafs are up 2-0 and had a chance on a power play to make it 3-0 and couldn't do it, it seemed like a recipe for disaster. But also, I'm curious with the home and away record. It's crazy how this team just all of a sudden can't win at home. Can you explain that? Is it coaching?
No, I mean, they took a lead. They had a lead. I mean, they blew the barn doors off, right? They've had periods, stretches, not just periods like the 20 minutes, but stretches where they looked dominant and where they looked like, they're absolutely going to blow the barn doors off of Florida and the Panthers are going to go home and that's it. But then there's lapses, there's mistakes. And, as we talked about, Florida they're playing mean hockey, right? They're playing tough, kind of jerk hockey, and it's physical and they're constraining space and they have good support and they're capitalizing on the chances they get, right? Carter Verhaeghe gets a breakaway. It's that's done, right? That's sometimes all it can take. So you throw all those into a salad bowl and you mix it up and it's kind of what you get.
Paul Maurice, guy I knew when I worked at Leafs TV, back coaching once again after leaving Winnipeg. I love this guy. I just listened to his post-game press conferences, and now, granted, they're up 3-1, but he's just so relaxed. It just seems so different than Sheldon Keefe's.
You imagine if it was an Eastern final between, Florida and Tampa, and you had John Cooper and Paul Maurice at the podiums, it wouldn't have been a press conference. It'd be poetry. He is a smart, interesting guy with varied interests. He likes going fishing, but he'll also read a lot. I know, we joke a lot about hockey players who like to read, but this guy does read a lot. He was, he's still a couple of credits short of his university degree, but he was going to be a lawyer in a previous life. And he is a fascinating guy. And he really was going to walk away from coaching after he stepped back from Winnipeg, for reasons that have since come to sort of make a lot more sense to people who watch what the Jets did this year.
Exactly.
But he's been fascinating to watch. And I think that, should they progress to the next level and the stage gets brighter and the focus gets narrower on her, narrow on the remaining coaches and the personalities, that, we'll get to hear more of his story and, just maybe how close he really was to sort of walking away from the game and ended up on a lake somewhere in Manitoba. Yeah.
And now probably living life nicely down in Florida for sure.
I suspect that would be a nice life.
I would think so too. Hey, I don't want to give my opinion on officiating, as any Leaf fan would tell you. They probably think they get ripped off all the time. But do you think the officiating has changed dramatically in the playoffs like it usually does?
I think NHL officiating and the NHL's relationship with its own rule book is at best confounding. Is a punch in the face illegal? Is it illegal in October? Yes. So why isn't it illegal now? Two-handed chop across the wrist, is that legal in November? Well, why are we even talking about it now?
Drawing blood on a high stick, isn't that an automatic 4-minute penalty?
But then we've been so conditioned to expect certain things in the playoffs that the Hockey Net Canada panel talks about, well, he should have waited on the ice until he started bleeding out more. I don't have anything pithy to say. I don't have anything pithy to add. Smart to add, other than, why don't you just call the rules? Why do we have to game manage? If some team out there is playing with intent to injure, if some team out there is being careless with a stick, and they commit 6 straight infractions, then you can call 6 straight infractions. I don't understand why that happens, whoever it is. If the Leafs go out there and commit 6 straight penalties, then call them on 6 straight penalties. I think at a certain point, the things that we've traditionally valued and still value in sport, but playing hurt, busted up and all that stuff, like, you still have a duty of care to the players. And allowing some of this to happen is an abdication of that duty, in my opinion.
Am I just saying this because I'm a Leaf fan? But it was the Bennett cross-check on bunting very similar to the Matt Sundin one in the outdoor classic against Buffalo. Like, weren't they similar? Where he got
the Austin Matthews penalty?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. What did I say? Did I say Sundin?
You did.
Oh my gosh. Sorry.
I mean, we don't know what he was doing during that game. Who knows what he was doing?
Wow.
Yeah, like, the other thing is too, is like, everybody sort of shrugged off that thing that happened to Matthew Nyes. Like,
yeah, I know.
You take
twice
a look,
he got twice.
You take a look, and there are different angles. This isn't the thing where you just have the Zapruder film, this one grainy angle. Like, you had the above, you had the side. That looked, certainly the bunting one where you cross-check him in the neck and then cross-check him in the back once he's on the ice, because you're not going to get a double minor for that. Right. That's one thing. But that other play knocked a rookie right out of the playoffs for now. Yeah. With a traumatic brain injury, for a play that somehow is deemed a good hockey battle.
Yeah. I don't like it. And he was elbowed by Tkachuk earlier, too.
Series, right? Like, take a look at, the Edmonton Vegas game at the end of last night and what's been going on there. Like, I honestly don't. I don't know why the rules aren't called. I don't think the NFL changes its rules too much in the playoffs. No. I know the NBA officiating is always a point of contention, but for a different reason, the star system and that sort of stuff. International soccer officiating, maybe it's just par for the course at elite levels that, for whatever reason, you can't call the rule book as it's designed, which is objectively ridiculous. It
is crazy. The Leafs broadcast crew. Now, we know they didn't go on the road in the first round against Tampa, Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph, but they, correct me if I'm wrong, they did go to Florida for games 3 and 4, didn't they?
They did, and they got 2 days in between, too, to bask in the sunshine and catch up on lost time.
Now, was that because of the way that, unfortunately, it wasn't Joe's fault, but he screwed up a couple calls because it's hard to tell. And when the camera cuts to Morgan Riley after a Game 6 winner, of course he's going to think that.
Yeah, no, for folks who aren't following along at home, for the better part of 3 years, Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph have been calling road games off tube, which means, they're sitting in a studio calling a game off the same television feed that you're watching. That, Dan Schulman, when he called Blue Jays games off tube during the pandemic, there were pictures that he'd post where he'd have a bunch of different cameras. He'd have the main TV, then this ISO feed, this ISO feed, this ISO feed. The Leafs don't. They have the one screen. So when the director in Florida cuts to Morgan Riley, celebrating, Bowen is then influenced to think that Riley must have gotten a tip on it. Now, there's also a school of broadcasting thought that I think, folks, when you don't know, you just sort of celebrate the moment and the goal and wait for the replay to confirm specifics. But again, he's been waiting 19 years to make a call like that. So I really can't fault him. Like, he's been calling this team through the Peter Horacek games, right?
Yes,
you deserve to sort of put the pedal down and give it all the gas you got for a winning goal like that. So he wasn't there. Chris Cuthbert was there. Chris Cuthbert made the right call.
But Joe's not hearing him.
No, he's not. But that's
He's
what I'm
just
saying.
watching.
So one play-by-play voice is in the building.
Yeah.
One play-by-play voice is up in Toronto in a dark room somewhere.
It's ridiculous.
The cleaning staff is working behind them. So with that, with I think public pressure on social media, they got to go on the road for the Florida series. And I mean, in true Leaf fashion, they might just limit it to those 2 games, because if they don't make it to 6, then that's maybe the shortest reinstitution of a road trip policy in media history. But
Sean, it's not the Leafs, right? It's the broadcasters. It's TSN.
Well, MLSE has a say in it. I will tell you that I've sort of written about it. I've been following the story. When it came time that the announcement was made that Joe and Ralphie were going back on the road, the email I got wasn't from Rogers. It wasn't from TSN. It was from an MLSE spokesperson.
Interesting.
So they're not just a sort of disconnected third party in all of this.
No, and I know Joe was an employee of MLSE when I was. Is that still the case? Do you even know?
That is tangled, and I couldn't say with clarity.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, no, I shouldn't even say it, but I don't think.
No, that's fine.
I don't believe that they are direct employees of MLSE.
Yeah. I mean, they were on the charter, but that ended.
Yeah, that ended 2015 with Lou.
Yeah. Right.
So for the first, so Lou said he wanted the plane to become an extension of the dressing room. So, as the front office expanded, the salary cap, capologist, that sort of thing, they expanded. So they did use those seats. The radio stations did take Joe and Jim off the road then, but a public outcry led the radio companies to put them back on the road. And then the pandemic gave them a pretty clear runway to sort of institute this new policy under the guise of what was then legitimately, obviously, public health concerns, travel restrictions. But since those restrictions and concerns have eased, their policy hasn't.
As far as you know, are they the only crew that didn't travel in the first round? Or do you know?
I haven't reached out to confirm that.
Yeah.
I do know that, most radio crews in the league were still traveling the last time that I checked in on this a couple of years ago.
You're talking about radio. There was a little drama at TSN 1050 there a week or so ago, and all of a sudden there was no ODOG. Jeff O'Neill had mysteriously disappeared from the airwaves, and obviously he's back now. TSN did release a statement, said he's on leave. Did you ever get to the bottom of it, Sean?
So, I mean, as far as I could work back in my A&E mid-afternoon Matlock sort of detective work back from the early 2000s was, he appeared on TV on the Monday night. And then he did Overdrive on Tuesday, but he wasn't in studio. He did it remotely. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as the Leafs were closing in on that first series win in 2 decades, he wasn't there. And, those hosts do lots of different things, right? And McLennan will disappear to do Senators stuff during the regular season. O'Neill will disappear to do Leaf stuff or panel stuff during the regular season. I think why this drew a lot of attention was because, potentially this was the biggest week or weeks in the show's history, because since Overdrive had been at lunch and then on the afternoon, the Leafs had never done anything like this. So, publicly, all anybody's saying is that he was on leave. And when he came back last week, was it last week? Was it this week?
It was last week, yeah.
Last week. When he came back last week, he thanked the listeners. He did sound he was dealing with some emotions and saying thank you for all the concern. But that's it. They never addressed it, and they have not. They've left it open to speculation and rumor.
Interesting. One day it'll come out, I'm sure. I would think. Finally, is staying in the media world. Podcasting obviously is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. I find it curious that Sportsnet Fan 590 or whatever they're called now does a Leafs post-game podcast, but I can't listen to it on the radio when I'm driving home from my buddy's place. I find that a little curious. At least I couldn't last time I tried, unless they are putting it on now. I don't know. But Steve Dangle's got quite the podcast network going, and it's expanding. And is sports radio gonna exist? Like, do you think this podcast network is just gonna take it and run and say so long to sports radio?
It's an interesting question, and I don't think it's the format itself, because if you take a look in the United States, sports radio is flourishing in certain markets.
Yeah, Buffalo's one.
Big sports markets, Boston, Chicago, Minneapolis, New York. It's still there. I mean, it's losing ground. I mean, John Boy Media famously, not that long ago, secured the Yankees manager for a weekly talk show, which is usually done on terrestrial radio, but is now done on John Boy Media. So yeah, like it's not what it once was, but it's still a going concern. I do wonder sometimes if in Canada, the fact that sports radio is controlled by two telecommunications giants who may or may not have the most incentive to reinvest in radio and to grow terrestrial radio, rather than say independent. So there's one side of it. Bell Media shuttered Vancouver, Hamilton, and Winnipeg. I think it was 3 years ago. They're all sports formats there. Yeah. So yeah, like in its place, you see these independents growing up. So in Winnipeg, there's Illegal Curve, there's Winnipeg Sports Talk. In Vancouver, there's Go Goat Sports, which houses, Sakaris and Price, one of the shows that sort of lost its spot in the Bell closure. Also the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. And yeah, in Toronto, in the biggest media market in Canada, in the most populous city in Canada, you now have this independent group with Jesse Blake, Steve Dangle Glynn, and Adam Wilde that now houses 15 different shows. They have the Steve Dangle podcast. They have Alan Walsh on a podcast. They have former Hockey Night in Canada personality Chris Johnson on a podcast. And they have shows in each of the 7 Canadian NHL markets. So, they recently moved into a 3-story building just a few blocks away from here off Broadview Avenue near downtown Toronto, which is, a manifestation, I would argue, of the growth that they've experienced. They say they have no outside investors, and it's, a business built on sort of the growth through sponsorship of their product.
And is the sponsorship money must be there then? They must be. I mean, if they can afford rent, you would think that it's got to be there, right? Like, I know places, like there are a lot of podcasters that do have sponsors that they mention, but I mean, the money's got to be good and there.
Yeah, I mean, they have Sports Interaction. They've had a series of other partnerships. But yeah, I mean, Alan Walsh and Chris Johnson, those are 2 fairly significant names in the hockey world, right? And they have 15 shows, and all growing, sometimes different rates. And it's a busy, crowded field for podcasts and digital media, as you well know. But here they are. And, on Chartable, when you check the flagship podcast, the Steve Dangle podcast, like they're up there with some of the big corporate heavy hitters. They're making inroads. They've made inroads. And that's all independent from, what Steve has done, with his own private YouTube channel, yelling about the Leafs in the last 17 years.
I told him I was going to make him a star. I told him that way back when. Hey, finally, there was a podcast that I listened to for the last probably 2 years. Mark Hebscher announced he's retiring, and he's no longer doing Hebsy on sports. So I was a little sad to hear that. Guy who obviously my vintage watched him on Sportsline and just picked up his podcast a couple of years ago. But I always valued his opinion and always thought he'd be a great guy on radio. But I'm going to miss him. Did you listen to it?
Yeah, I mean, so I have 2 kids and 2 kids in sports. So I am not a podcast listener. I still listen to terrestrial radio.
Interesting.
Flipping between, on the way to hockey practices 5-6 days a week. But yeah, I mean, Hebscher and Taddy, I'm old enough to have had them as sort of part of my youth, right? Like, TSN had started up, but Sportsline was still going strong. Like, I would watch Sportsline for a lot of my daily sports news. So, I mean, what they did and sort of the path that they helped light for Canadian sports media is definitely something that can't be sort of forgotten.
Okay, one last thing. This over your right shoulder, The wall is glowing. Do you have something like really shiny in the room today? What's going on?
What's that? What? I can't quite hear you because the glow is what?
Wow. What do you have there?
That is a GTHL trophy. Let me get that up there. For the U12 AA Toronto EastEnders, who have successfully defended their city championship just a few weeks ago at Scotiabank Pond, on the strength clearly of their coaching, specifically a bald man who runs a defensive door. I think that would be the obvious place for all of the glory.
I would think so. And the door never got jammed for you or anything. It was good.
Never got jammed.
Good.
Minimal number of too many men in the ice penalties.
Okay, good. Well, congratulations on that, Sean. And thanks for joining us this week on Instigating with Clarkey and Jury. No jury, but that's fine. He's not a Leaf fan anyway, so he wouldn't enjoy this conversation anyway. So, but thanks for coming
without him. We'll have fun without him.
We will. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you very much.
All right, stand by. We, as I mentioned to Sean earlier, are going to have two huge Leaf fans on the show, Steve Dangle and Dart Guy, together. And they're not in the same room, but they're going to be on the same show right here on Instigating, brought to you by Larry Hudson's Has It, and the Listowel Squash Courts right here in Listowel. All right, welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Jury. No Jury this week. He's out in Vancouver enjoying the nice weather out there. But here we are in Ontario talking about the Leafs and a fifth game in the second round, and what two better guys to have on the show this week, especially with Ryan not here as a non-Leaf fan. But the two biggest Leaf fans next to me that I know, Dart Guy, Jason Maslikow, and Steve Dangle. Boys, how are you today?
Absolutely fantastic, Clarkey. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, excellent, Clarkey. Thank you.
Dangle, let's start with you. This team has disappointed all of us over the years. But what I saw in Game 4 last night was a team determined, a team that worked hard, and a team that didn't want to go down lightly. And I said at the beginning of the series, the Leafs were going to win 4 straight. I thought they were going to win without Florida winning any, but I thought they were going to win 4 straight, and I still think they are. Do you think this team has what it takes to do not the impossible, because it has been done 4 times before, but do something that's very difficult to do?
Well, I'm convinced there's script writers in charge of all of this, and if they are, they did a great job with Game 4, because all the conversation was around the core 4, and Mitch Marner took the brunt of it. And it's because if they're going to break up the band, he's the first guy you break up. Willie's too good value. You're not getting rid of Matthews. You're not going to be able to get rid of Tavares. So if you want a real shakeup, it comes down to Mitch. Game 4 comes, he's their best player. He only has 11 hits all playoffs. 4 of them came last night. He had an assist on the first, albeit fluky goal. Who cares? It counts. And he ended up having the game winner. He was out there in key kill situations. So, yeah, I think they can. I think it's going to be pretty difficult. That was a good start.
Dart Guy, over to you.
Well, I'm not quite convinced about the script writers, but I do believe, to a certain extent, there might be an agenda at play, and that might influence some of the calls that happen throughout the game. I don't know how Bunting bleeding all over the place with a clear cut across his nose, that's only 2 minutes. I mean, that's 4 minutes any other game I've ever seen. So I don't know. I'm not sure about the script, but I'll go with an agenda. As far as do the Leafs have what it takes to win 3 more games straight, I absolutely believe it wholeheartedly. You look at the series so far against Florida, and you're looking at a team who hasn't played overly well through 4 games, and they've been in every game. They've been going into the third period tied in Game 3, just needing 20 minutes to pull out a win. You don't want to let the Toronto Maple Leafs get hot. We have shown time and time again over the last few years that we have the scoring power to put anybody away. If that comes to fruition on Friday, we will be looking at Game 6 on Sunday, plain and simple.
So how can you explain, Jason, how they haven't had their a game, nearly in every game. Like they blew Tampa out in game 2. But besides that, a lot of people are saying, me included, they haven't played that well. How do you explain this?
Well, I can agree to a certain extent, but as much as everybody is talking about how the Leafs haven't played well, how the core four hasn't played well, I don't think enough credit is being given to Florida and how well they're playing our top guys. I get it. The best players in the world have to find a way to make it happen. But there is another team out on the ice. It's not like Matthews and Marner can just skate around willy-nilly and do whatever they want whenever they want. There's a team trying to stop them, and a pretty good team at that. So I'm not going to completely throw the guys under the bus and say they're not playing great. We're also being defended very well.
Dangle, Justin Hall got back in last night.
Yeah.
Like, where do we go with this guy? Like, is he seriously like one of the, like, did he play the most minutes of any guy last night too?
He played
is this
the most on the team, I think.
Yeah.
Either most on the team or most out of any defenseman.
So do you think his sitting upstairs for a couple of games has taught him anything? And did you see any improvements last night from him?
I mean, the guy plays some good hockey. Like he's not completely useless. But
disagree.
Man, yeah. I mean, Linus loves his blanket. I thought the Leafs played a relatively mistake-free game, and the mistakes that they did make, they were able to limit and sort of recover from. But that guy gives me heart palpitations every time he's out there, and somehow he was out there more than anybody. And I straight up don't have an explanation for that.
It is crazy, Dark Guy. Like, we've talked about him many, 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 many times. But overall, the D last night, like Luke Shen is way better than I thought he was when the Leafs traded for him. Like, I cannot believe how steady, how calm, how collected, and calming this guy has been. It's been incredible.
Yeah, you can't complain with what Luke's brought to the table since we acquired him there at the deadline. I mean, the leadership value he's providing to this team, and you can't underestimate the will and desire I think Luke has to make good on being drafted by the Leafs and having that potential career here cut short when he was traded away. So I absolutely love what he's doing. I love what McCabe's been doing for the most part. And the Justin Hall thing is turned into a Martin Marincin scenario for me right now. So I couldn't understand why Marincin kept getting a regular shift. I can't understand how a guy that was a cast-off from an Edmonton Oilers team that needed D suddenly became very valuable in Toronto. And I think Hall's in that situation right now. I'm with Steve, watching the game for so long and being a student and fan of the game. I can't understand what Keefe and Dubas see that we don't.
Yeah, it baffles. It really does. It really baffles me. Like, I can't believe it. Hey, the Florida Panthers seem to be at times throwing some players around the ice. Like, we've seen a lot of, I think, dirty play from these guys, like the Bennett cross check on Bunting that he gets 2 minutes for, and then hits him again while he's down.
Two cross checks.
Yeah, two cross checks. Exactly.
Well, he got
was very
though.
Similar to Matthews against or in that winter game against Buffalo. Very similar. Like, I watched them both side by side. It's crazy. I actually said it was Matt Sundin when I was talking to Sean Fitz-Gerald earlier. My brain wasn't working, but then Gudas last night, like, it had to be 2 seconds after the whistle blew, just nails camp. That's charging all day long, right? And then at the end of the game, they start throwing it around too. But why not? Why not start throwing it around? Look who the Leafs had out there. And I think the Leafs got to look a little more pissed off in my mind. Like, sometimes it just seems like they're taking it and they're not giving it back. But they have some guys who can hit. And I'm not saying like dress Simmons, but like, can we get a little tougher, or do you think it's been fine, Steve?
I think you kind of have to. I think a lot of teams were waiting on maybe a correction. Hockey's evolving and the market inefficiencies, these little skilled guys. And And it's not a kinder, gentler league, no matter what people say. And it's even worse than it's not a kinder, gentler league. It's a chaotic, nonsensical league. Like we're a couple hours removed from Darnell Nurse getting a suspension for an instigator penalty in the final 5 minutes of a playoff game. Now, if you want an automatic penalty and you're not allowed to instigate in the final 5 minutes or we kick you out, and that's the deterrent for that, fine. But why then is it totally okay to just beat the crap out of whoever you want with your gloves on as soon as the final horn goes?
Right.
Is exactly what happened. Bennett on top of McCabe, Kachuk with Marner. I mean, if you're not going to call it, get your pound of flesh, I guess. There are no rules. So why not break them? Break the rules that don't exist.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is, and I didn't want to go this way, don't want to go that way, but Steve, there's no rules for everybody else unless you have a leaf on your jersey, is apparently what it seems. I mean, it's very disheartening and frustrating to watch as a fan, and you see Sam Bennett headlock Matthew Nyes, use all his weight to choke slam him to the ground, which has taken him out of the series, and nothing. How is that not a call? The referees have the player safety in their hands every game, all game. So, a lot is made about the player safety department and the fines. And I agree with you, Steve. Oh, no, he got a fine. What is that? What does that teach him? Nothing. But it's the referees in game. It's their job to manage this, and it's their job to look out for the players on the ice when maybe they're not looking out for themselves. So I kind of go back to the referees on that. But when we're talking about Wayne Simmons and maybe getting him into the lineup, so many people, when you go on social media, are saying he can't do it, he can't skate, he's not fast enough. Well, when I'm looking at the ice time and I'm seeing games where guys are getting 5-6 minutes a night in the playoffs, you can't tell me that Wayne Simmons can't handle 6 minutes of night. You can find him 6 sheltered minutes, and if you need him, you got him.
So who's coming out?
Well, Lafferty's been great.
He's been good.
Yeah.
I love Aston Reese, but if I had to take somebody out, it'd be him.
Or Justin Hall and go back to 6D.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But like, so I love having these fantasy conversations, like with the lineup, but like, it's just taking Hall out isn't even a fantasy worth having because until next year, because he's not under contract anymore. But like the dude, I couldn't believe that when I saw it. In my head, I'm like, it feels like he's playing a lot. I never would have guessed the most.
No.
Like I had a Riley, I had a Brody. There was no way. And I don't know how he pulled it off. Dude doesn't play the power play. So how did it happen? He took a penalty even. So he found his ice despite being in the box. That's incredible to me.
It is. And I'm not getting into what will happen next year if whatever happens. I'm not getting into that today because they're still going, and I still think they're going to do this. But how do you explain, Steve, 2 goals every game so far this series? Like, we got to break out, don't we, at some point?
I actually think when the pace is slower and the events are fewer, those are the games they thrive in now. I think it's not nearly as fun. It's not, but I think we got to adjust our expectations for this team. That's the hockey they thrive in. Tampa.
How did that happen? Go.
I have no idea.
How with the talent on this team, how does that happen?
No idea. It happened so slowly and suddenly. It was just one day I was like, you know what? They haven't played an exciting game in 3 months, and they just, that's how they thrive. Tampa looked their best when they were pew, 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 going. And at the beginning of this Panthers series, pew, 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 chances back and forth, forcing a lot of mistakes. And it was a lot of fun to watch. And the final score at the end of 3 straight games was the Panthers won. And game 4, they slow it down. I don't know when they became a team that thrives in the muck, but They sure do.
Is that coaching, Jason?
Well, I think they've had a strong emphasis on playing a better defensive game since day one of the regular season.
Yep.
And that is something that is, maybe lending itself to what Steve is saying, where we're talking about it almost appears that they prefer that 2-1, 3-1 game and not a whole lot of high flying opportunities. And that would go to coaching and to, how Keefe was trying to roll the guys out. However, I just look at it a little bit different. I still think this is a high-powered offensive team. I was back at the game against Edmonton on March 11th. Marner had that absolutely goal of the year candidate. That was a team that was trading chances all night and came out victorious. I just think you're looking at, playoff hockey is a little bit different. Every inch is that much harder to gain. Again, Florida has been playing Toronto well. My prediction for tomorrow's game is that Toronto's going to come out flying and you're going to see that offense breakthrough. You cannot contain this team for that long until something's got to give. And I think the levee breaks. I think Friday is going to be a 5-1, 6-2 game for Toronto.
Whoa.
I hope you're right. I would take it too. And I hope you're right. And one thing I hate, and I'm the worst offender at times talking about, is that the moment that we're going to look back on? When you hear about everything after the fact, let's look back, what happened throughout a series that might have changed things around. Riley going, who was it that went into the boards, point for Tampa, seemed to give them a little momentum in that series. Jason, we've talked a lot about goaltending this year. Is Joe Woll getting the game now, getting that net? There's no way they can take him out now, because if he loses, they're done. And if they keep winning, they're not changing him. That's got to be the moment we're going to look back on in 3 games and say that was it, right?
Well, here it is. If Ilya Samsonov is healthy and ready to play, you got to put him in. He is your number one guy. He is the guy that got you there. Listen, I like Woll. He is a very calm, steady-looking young goaltender who's got a bright career ahead of him. I am not ready to go into game five with a healthy Samsonov on the bench when he could be starting. This guy is the guy who got you here. He's had 1 or 2 muffins, of course, in the playoffs that we would all love to see not go in, but he won you the games. He's made you the saves when you need them. If Samsonov's healthy, you have to start him. I see no way you can't.
So you're telling me, just to get it straight, if the Leafs tie this series up with Joe Woll in net in Game 7, we're going to see Samsonov?
It all depends if he's healthy or not.
No, if he's healthy, we're going to see him.
Here, I can make it. I can make it real easy on everyone.
Yeah.
I agree with you that if he's healthy, he should play. He ain't. He ain't. I didn't realize how poorly he was playing until I watched Joseph Woll last night. And, for my Dang It's videos on the Sportsnet YouTube channel, we looked back at the goals they allowed.
You're still on there, by the way? You're still on there?
Sure am. We look back at the 3 goals they allowed in game 2. Tavares falls down, Willie falls down, that funky play between Marner and Matthews at the blue line. And they're all mistakes, but I rewatched the clips. I'm like, what the hell is Sammy doing? Just flopping around in a way that, sometimes he loses his post a little, but he's really athletic. It's just a guy, he wasn't goaltending. He was just sort of flailing his body in hopes that the puck might hit him. Woll goes in there and he's as cookie cutter as they come, but maybe that's what they need. Maybe they play good enough defense that a cookie cutter goaltender is perfectly fine. All you got to do is be poised and come up with 1 or 2 a game, which he had. There was a Bennett save, and I can't remember the other one. He only really seemed to have 2 difficult saves. He might just be the perfect goaltender for this moment.
I just find it very, very hard to believe if they win and get this series even at 3, that we wouldn't see Woll in Game 7. But hey, Jason, you know what? I've agreed with you all year. I think Samsonov's been great. Ryan will tell us that he's going to give up the big goal in the bad spot, but I haven't seen it. Yeah, he's given up couple of bad muffins, as you said, but overall, I think he's been fabulous. And I think him and Waller are the two guys going forward. I really do.
Absolutely. You're going to see Murray playing for Chicago with Bedard next year, I think.
Isn't he on Robina Island? Like, he will go to Robina Island. Like, there's a one-way flight ready.
Listen, I had high hopes for Murray coming into the season, like I said, on this show. There was a lot of reason to believe and hope, just as much reason as there was to doubt and be skeptical. Fortunately, health played out to be a major problem for him. And I see no way that Murray is back next year. And I think getting that Boston first rounder at the deadline in the Gustafson Sandin trade, I think part of the reason that didn't get moved again was because that's going to be currency to get rid of Murray in the offseason.
Oh, boy. Here we go again with that, eh? But I hear you.
You got to pay to play, right? And
yeah, I know.
Boston's first rounder.
It's 28 now. It moved up.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as we thought it was going to be.
It would be a small price to pay to get the money off the books, I think.
Okay, 1 minute left, guys. I think we're going to go game 7 here. Jason, you first.
100%, without a shadow of doubt.
Dangle?
Yes. I make money off of YouTube videos. I'd like to continue making them.
If it goes 7, we're winning this thing, right? We got to win this thing.
If it goes 7, I think you're going to see a modern day miracle.
If it goes 7, I think you'll see me in the hospital.
I might be with you. Guys, they put us through a lot over the years, and I just think that this is a different team. And I've been texting with Dave Poulin a lot during this playoffs, and I keep saying this is a different team. This is a different team. And he keeps saying they got to prove they're different. And in the first round, they did. They proved it. They beat Tampa. They got that monkey off the back. How did that work out the first 3 games against Florida? Not great, but I still think it's a different team, and I think they showed it in game 4, and they're the better team here. I don't think there's any question. If you like on paper, I know it's not played on paper, but on paper, they're a better team, and they just got to go and prove it for the next 3 games. That's not that hard to do, is it?
One game at a time. That's how it starts.
It's easy, even.
Is it?
No.
Just got to score more goals. That's all you got to do.
Score more goals. That's a good idea.
Just score more goals. Anyway,
so you
guys.
must have been top of your class.
Yeah, well, no, not really. A lot of fun. I really appreciate you guys coming on, spending some time with me today. Thanks for doing this, and we'll talk to you again, and go Leafs go. All right, one more break, and after the break, we're going to be talking to Alan McArthur, the owner of the Listowel Squash Courts. Lots of exciting things coming up in the summer and the fall, and he's working on it, and we're going to hear from him next here on Instigating with Clarkey and Jury, brought to you by Larry Hudson's Has It, and of course, the Listowel Squash Courts. All right, before we leave here this week on Instigating with Clarkey and Jury, we're going to just check in with Al McArthur from Listowel Squash Courts. I always want to call it a club. Can't call it a club.
Sure, but yeah.
It is a club, Al.
I know.
It's a club. Let's call it Listowel Squash Club. I'm going to get you in trouble. No, you know what it's like, though? It's like the Fan 590. That's not their real name. Their real name is CJCL Radio, right? We can call it whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right? So I call it Listowel Squash Club. Anyway, right. It's the Squash Court. It's up on Rocker Road. Is it Rocker or Rocher?
Rocker to the to the locals, maybe Rocher to the non-locals, I guess.
That's right. Our French-speaking customers, members. Hey, listen, we had our championship night. All the squashers were there, and that was a couple of Fridays ago. I wasn't participating that night. I was emceeing the night, but it was a fun night. The courts were packed, and we had our championships. Run us through the winners. Who won each category?
Yeah, so Kristen Fisher won the A side for the women's, and Jen Bornheimers won the B side for the women's. For the A side in the men's, Josh Claxton wrapped it up, and B side was Ross Ariango. So
Arangio.
Yeah. Oh, I always get it wrong. He's gonna kill me.
It's Arangio. I asked him when I was there that night. Ross Arangio, and Ross won, even though he was wearing a Leaf hat, and he had a big lead, and he didn't blow it. Nice Leaf hat as well. Nice Leaf hat. But it was a fun night. I didn't hear one complaint on the night. We had a lot of people there. The draw was great. And you should be proud and happy of that, because that was ultimately what we've built this thing, not we, you, for a few years now.
Yeah, for sure. And you nailed it right on the head. I couldn't do this without everybody else. 95% of the attendants were members, and the members are the club. We're really starting to get a nice community going, where we're all kind of brothers and sisters. We just bump elbows and laugh and joke around, and it's a really good community going on. So no, you nailed it right on the head. It's we for sure. And I am more than proud. I couldn't be prouder of having people behind me and seeing this vision. The only complaint I got, and it was from myself, was just not enough room. We need to do something to get a little more space for the viewing, a little more comfortable. And that's really my goal to do by August 31st is my goal. So yeah.
Well, Al, like, you can't knock at walls, can you? How are you going to do that? Or is it a secret?
So there's a little bit of play. So actually the hallway in the center of the building is open just for airflow. So I'm gonna close half that off, so you can make it to the other side. I can put seating in that area as well.
Nice.
I'm also going to take down kind of the traditional railing that I have going up, and put in some plexiglass to make viewing a lot easier. Just to watch. It's kind of cool because you're looking down over the glass of the courts. So it's cool. It's kind of a cool just perspective of it.
It is a cool spot. So that will be exciting. You're going to renovate up there too, right? You've been asking for some suggestions. I'm sure you love my architectural drawing of how I thought it should be, but I can't wait.
Yeah, it was good. So I'm really focusing on upstairs. So making it larger, making the viewing aspect a little better with the plexi. We're going to put some TVs up there, have a little bit of a lounge too with a bit of a bar, just to set your pop on or watch the game after your game. A lot of people do that. They'll play out their match and then they'll head upstairs and just kind of socialize for a bit and watch the third period of Leafs in Game 7 in 2 weeks, right? Like, it's gonna be way better. Yeah.
Game 7 is like next Tuesday, I think, because
third round.
Oh, third round. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Good. Yes. Okay. I'm on side. Okay. So now we had our championship night, and now we have to turn our attention to the summer, and we didn't have a summer league last year. What's happening this year?
Yeah, like that's my goal. Every season I try and improve the next season from the last year's season. So yeah, my goal in this summer is to get people to still play, kind of mingle a bit. We're doing our first ever co-ed league, which is going to be run as a box league. So it's kind of cool. You get kind of grouped in for a month with 5 or 6 people. Top 2 people move up, bottom 2 people move down, middle 2 or 1 stay the same. And then each month it kind of changes, but it's ideal for summer because it's busy, right? We got to get outside, we got to get holidays in, kids are off. I get it. I have a young family too, so it's just you just start running around all summer, right? Trying to enjoy the weather. Yeah. So the box league is nice because you can play all your matches in 1 week, 1 day, whatever you want, right?
I'm definitely in, because last year I took basically the summer off, and a lot of people got a lot better last summer, you included. Still didn't beat me though, but here's the deal. Like it's one of those sports where the more you play, the better. I mean, like all sports, I guess, but the more you play, the better you get. And if you're sitting idle and your rivals are playing, look out come the fall, because they're going to be gunning for you. And it happened last summer for me. So I'm excited about this box league.
Yeah, they just have a couple more months on you, right? When you start up in in the fall. Yeah. So to carry through, we'll have a couple weeks off in between, just to give people a break. They can still come play competitively in a league. So yeah, it's really good. We got 24, I think, signed up for the summer league already, and it's a co-ed, so it's women and men, even open to youth over 12. We'll throw them in there too. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
And it's easier on you, and this is why I think it is, because the bottom two drop down, the top two go up, however you do it, but it's set in stone. There's no like, oh, you didn't play for the last 2 weeks, so yeah, I know you got an injury, but I'm dropping you anyway. That's the way it went in the sun. And it was like a lot of maintenance, right? Like, yes, I had a sore foot, Al. I had a doctor's note. I sent you a doctor's note.
That was such a specific story. Does it really regard you?
Right? So now I know.
It was your left second toe, right?
Exactly. Now I know I better play. And the problem is, and I haven't played since the fall championship there, because I've been trying to heal my foot. I have had shockwave therapy on it. I had plantar fasciitis, not to get in all this, but it turned into very, very painful heel. And I've had shockwave therapy. It's still not good. So I don't want to have to live with this the rest of my life, but
yeah, for sure.
You know me, I'm a little competitive and I don't like not playing. So I'll probably be out there.
You're one of those that it's probably better if you're not on the court, because you just don't know to take it easy on yourself, right? You get intense, you get wrapped up in the game, and we all do to a certain extent, but you forget that your body could hurt, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm just sitting here right now before we got on, we have this little, what's the app called? Hey Ya? Is that how you say it? Hey Ya. Right. And we have a group chat, which is kind of cool as well. And the guys, there's a bunch of guys on it tonight that are going over. It's an open night. You can just go and play, and you just rotate through guys. And there's 7 or 8 guys going to be there tonight. And I did say I was going to go, but now I'm thinking my foot's still sore. Do I want to go? But the Hey Ya app, I think, has been a success. It's been great. A lot of hockey teams use it too, right?
Yeah, that's how I got into it with actually with my gymnastics end of it. But yeah, a lot of hockey teams will use it, baseball teams, whatever sports teams. It's very handy just for a member-based thing. So you have to ask to be in it type thing. Just because it's members only. If you're not a member of the club, you need me to be there to allow you in. But for members, it's awesome for coordinating matches. You can do some scheduling, so you just kind of put it up there and people say attend or not attending. You get an idea of who's coming. I used the same for the tournament night that night too. And it gave me a really good idea of what to expect. It was nice. Yeah,
it was good. Any other exciting news coming?
No, I'm just working on September to June, like I was saying before to you off air. There was just the calendar's filling up. There's going to be weekly things, bi-weekly things, monthly things. There's going to be social events each month. We're still really trying to amp things up to just grow the community, right? Just to get it a little bigger, a little more people in it. So a little more in the leagues. Got some people coming from different clubs, which is awesome now, hearing about us wanting to get in the mix. So yeah, it's just focusing on next year. It'll be awesome though.
It's going to be so big. You're going to need more lockers.
Nobody wants the bottom ones. What's wrong with that? You guys are all getting old. You don't want to bend down to the bottom.
I don't want to bend down. Not a chance.
All the top ones are full, but I got a few bottom ones still available.
Still open? So, okay. Because it is handy. Just keep your racket in there, especially in the winter. You don't want your racket sitting in your car all when it's cold out and everything, and probably in the summer too when it gets hot, right? So it's handy to have a locker. Yeah,
for a racket aspect, if you spend a couple $100 on a racket, the weather will dry out the strings and the grips. So yeah, it's kind of climate controlled. It's always there. If you're only playing at our club, you don't really need it anyways anywhere else. So super handy. A lot of guys like to just pop in at lunch and all their stuff's there.
Yeah,
pack it all up and take off.
Yeah, and the air conditioner is working.
It's full tilt.
Perfect. Just open that door, right? Put the fan on and it cools right down in there. It's perfect.
I'm looking into that. I am looking into that.
No, I'm teasing you. It's fine. It's good to have a sweat on. It's good.
It is. There's only really a month of the summer that it's close in there, but I'm looking into it. I'm definitely always looking into improving.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to this summer season starting next Monday, I believe, the 15th of May, if I'm not mistaken.
15th, yeah.
The 15th. And I'm not sure how you're going to rate things right off the top. I should be probably in, one of the top 3 boxes, I would hope. I'm not sure, but.
So, yeah, I already did it up. I just did a randomizing.
Oh, you randomized it.
But it was cool because it grouped you in your ratings. So I think my box, I'm 2.6 to 2.8. So you're right in there. I think
those ratings, though, they can be rigged, right?
Depends. Loopholes, right?
There's loopholes everywhere. Al, thanks for this. We'll talk to you again, and I look forward to seeing you over the court soon.
Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
The owner of the Listowel Squash Courts, Alan McArthur. And that wraps up this week's show, Instigating with Clarkey and Jury. Thanks for joining me this week. Hope you stuck with it, even though Ryan wasn't here. But he's not a Leaf fan anyway, so it's just as well. Hey, Instigating with Clarkey and Jury, brought to you by Larry Hudson's. Hudson's has it. And right now, we have our Spring into Summer event going on. All 23 in-stock half-ton trucks have been dealer discounted. Yes, discounts are back and they're on right now at Larry Hudson's. If you have a sales rep, please get in touch with them. If you want a new truck, come on over, take a look. Those trucks are pretty nice that are sitting out in the lot right now. So come on over. If you're looking for a sales rep, give me a call. 519-291-3791. Once again, Larry Hudson's has it. And of course, we're brought to you by the Listowel Squash Courts. And we thank our guests today for joining us. Sean Fitz-Gerald from The Athletic, Steve Dangle, and Dart Guy together. That was an exciting part of the show for me. And let's hope the Leafs, right now as this show airs, are winning. So here we go. It is Game 5 in Toronto Friday night. That's it for our show. Reminder, you can watch Instigating with Clarkey and Jury every Friday at 8 p.m. on Whiteman TV, Channel 6. We debut on our YouTube channel at 9 p.m. And, of course, follow us on our socials at Instigating Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks for joining us this week. I'm Chris Clark, better known as Clarkey. See you next week.